If you thought the King Harris saga couldn't get messier, think again. Rumor has it that Tiny, the matriarch herself, walked right into a scene that left her stunned and scrambling. Her son, King Harris, the same one who's been making headlines left and right with his bold personality and rebellious antics, wasn't just packing a few clothes for a trip. Oh no. Allegedly, she caught him stuffing bags with the intention of running away and eloping with none other than his boyfriend. Yes, you heard me right. Forget the usual teenage drama. This right here was an escape plan, a midnight mission, and the reaction it caused in the Harris household has the internet absolutely buzzing. Before we get into the meat of this story, let's zoom out for a second and talk about who King Harris is, because context is everything here. King is the son of rap mogul T.I. and singer-songwriter Tiny Harris. He grew up in front of cameras thanks to the family's VH1 reality show T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle. From a young age, fans watched him grow into this outspoken, larger-than-life personality who seemed to have inherited all the boldness of his parents without much of their filter. In recent years, he's been making his own name through music, social media antics, and plenty of viral clips where he's caught cussing people out, flexing in public, or getting into spats that have everyone talking. Now, King has always been painted as the rebellious one in the family. Where his siblings often keep a lower profile, King tends to lean into controversy. He's the one who doesn't mind saying the quiet part out loud. He's the one who isn't afraid to clap back at trolls or even go toe-to-toe with his dad on Instagram Live. But this situation, this wasn't about trolling or flexing. This was about something deeply personal: love, identity, and the desire for independence. And according to insiders, Tiny wasn't ready for what she stumbled upon that night. So here's how the story supposedly unfolds. One evening, Tiny walks past King's room, probably expecting the usual chaos, loud music, clothes all over the floor, maybe some friends hanging out. But instead, she notices something different. The room is quieter, but not in a calm way. It's the kind of quiet that says something's up. She pushes the door open, and what does she see? King with his suitcase wide open, clothes flying in every direction, shoes being tossed in, his passport sitting right on top of the pile like the cherry on a sundae. At first, Tiny might have thought, okay, maybe he's going on a trip, maybe he's touring, maybe he forgot to mention something. But the look on King's face told a different story. The way he froze when she walked in, the way he tried to cover the suitcase with his body, it was the kind of reaction that screams, "I've been caught red-handed." And that's when Tiny started asking questions. Where are you going? Why are you packing like you're not coming back? Who's going with you? And that's when the truth allegedly came tumbling out. King wasn't packing for a quick getaway. He wasn't even packing for a tour or a business trip. According to whispers, he was packing to run away with his boyfriend. And not just for a weekend getaway, this was supposedly about eloping, about making a permanent move. Now let's pause here for a moment, because we all know Tiny. For years, she's been portrayed as the nurturing but no-nonsense mother, the one who balances out T.I.'s sometimes overbearing personality with patience and love. She's seen her kids through ups, downs, and plenty of media storms. But this moment, this was different. Imagine being a mother, walking in on your teenage son preparing to sneak out in the middle of the night, not just with friends, but with the intention of running off for good. And not only that, but doing it without even telling you. That's a gut punch. Insiders say Tiny was stunned at first, like she couldn't even process what she was seeing. But once it clicked, the mama bear in her came out. She didn't start yelling or throwing things, at least not right away. Instead, she sat King down and tried to get to the bottom of it. She allegedly asked him point blank, "What's going on? Who are you leaving with? Why are you trying to run away like this?" And that's when King reportedly admitted it. He wasn't going alone. He wasn't running away aimlessly. He was planning to elope with his boyfriend. He felt like nobody was going to understand, nobody was going to support him. So instead of waiting for approval, he was going to take matters into his own hands. Of course, once Tiny had this information, you already know she wasn't going to sit on it. She immediately called T.I. to let him know what was happening. And if Tiny was stunned, T.I. was downright livid. Now we know T.I. as the outspoken, sometimes controlling father figure who doesn't hold back when it comes to his opinions. He's been criticized plenty of times for being too strict, too invasive, and too outspoken about his kids' personal lives. So you can only imagine how he reacted to finding out his son was about to sneak out and elope behind his back. According to whispers, T.I. blew up. He wasn't just upset about who King was leaving with. but about the idea that his son would make such a life-altering decision without even consulting his family. To T.I., it felt like betrayal. To King, it felt like independence. And that's where the clash began. Eyewitnesses claim the argument that broke out in the Harris household that night was explosive. Voices were raised, accusations were thrown, and King felt like no one was listening to him. He allegedly shouted that he was tired of being treated like a child, tired of being silenced, and that he was going to live his truth whether his parents liked it or not. Now here's where things get even juicier. Because no matter how much the Harris family tries to keep things under wraps, nothing stays private for long when you're living under the spotlight. Almost as soon as the confrontation happened, whispers started circulating online. A few shady blogs claimed to have sources inside the household who spilled the tea. Then, as if on cue, screenshots started popping up allegedly showing text messages between King and his boyfriend. Messages about leaving soon, about not looking back, and about finally being free. Were they real? Hard to say. But once the internet got hold of them, it didn't matter. The narrative was already set. Fans immediately divided into camps. On one side, you had people applauding King for being bold enough to live his truth and take control of his own life. On the other, you had critics dragging him, calling him too immature, too reckless, too young to even know what he wanted. And then, of course, you had the messy ones who weren't even taking sides. They were just here for the drama, waiting for the next bomb to drop. Behind the scenes, things allegedly got tense. Tiny, ever the peacekeeper, was reportedly trying to calm both sides down. She wanted King to feel heard, but she also didn't want him making decisions that could derail his entire future. T.I., on the other hand, was said to be furious, not just at King, but at the idea that this could turn into another media circus. Remember, this is the same man who spent years carefully creating his public image, trying to balance being a hip-hop legend with being a respected family man. The idea of one of his children running off in a scandalous elopement, plastered all over the blogs, was his worst nightmare. For King, though, this wasn't about image. This was about love, about freedom, about carving out his own identity outside of the Harris legacy. People close to him claim he felt suffocated by the expectations placed on him as T.I. and Tiny's son. He wanted to make his own choices, even if they were messy. And to him, eloping with his boyfriend wasn't just about romance. It was about breaking free from the shadow of his parents and proving he could stand on his own 2 feet. So where does this leave things? According to insiders, Tiny has been having long, heart-to-heart conversations with King, trying to get him to slow down and think about the bigger picture. She allegedly told him that love is beautiful, but decisions like eloping can't be made in the heat of the moment. T.I., meanwhile, is reportedly still angry, and father-son tension in the Harris household has never been higher. Some sources say King has doubled down, insisting that he's not backing down from his relationship, no matter what his parents think. Others say he's cooled off, realizing that maybe he jumped the gun. The truth is, nobody knows exactly what the next move will be. But one thing's certain, this situation has cracked open a whole new side of King Harris that the world has never seen before. And whether you support him or criticize him, you can't deny that this story has people talking. So here we are. Tiny walks in on her son packing bags in the middle of the night, ready to run off with his boyfriend. T.I. explodes when he finds out. The internet catches wind and goes into overdrive. And now, the Harris family is left trying to navigate a scandal that's as personal as it gets. However, multiple blogs have been whispering that T.I. has taken his concerned father role to a whole new level. Instead of just checking in on King like a normal parent, he's allegedly following him around in public, showing up unexpectedly, and even keeping tabs on his whereabouts through friends and family. According to one source, T.I. doesn't trust King to be left alone for long periods of time because he's worried King will use that window to sneak off and link up with his boyfriend. Picture this. King says he's going out with friends to grab food or hit the studio. 10 minutes later, T.I. just so happens to drop by or pull up at the same location. Another scenario. King tells his mom he's heading to an event, and before you know it, T.I. is in the background, making sure his son isn't slipping away. People close to the situation have started calling it babysitting, but King allegedly sees it as stalking. And it's not just physical. Word is, T.I. has been monitoring King's phone calls and social media activity. Some insiders say he even has people reporting back to him about who King is hanging with. If true, that's not just protective parenting, that's borderline surveillance. So why would T.I. go this far? There are a few theories swirling online. The first is that he's simply being a strict father who doesn't want his son to make life-changing decisions too quickly. From this perspective, T.I. might feel like King is too young, too hot-headed, and too impulsive to be running off into serious relationships, especially if it involves plans of sneaking away or eloping. But the second theory is darker, and it's the one fans are buzzing about the most. Many believe T.I.'s real concern isn't about King's age or maturity, but about appearances. T.I. has built a brand as a hip-hop mogul and family man. If his son's personal life becomes a media storm, it could overshadow the empire he's spent years creating. Some even speculate that T.I. is less worried about King's happiness and more worried about how blogs and tabloids will spin the story. And then there's the third theory. Maybe T.I. just can't accept that King is making choices that don't line up with the path he imagined for him. It's no secret that T.I. has always had a vision for his kids, often vocalizing what he thinks they should or shouldn't do. But King has been vocal about carving his own way, even if that means clashing with his dad. While all this is allegedly going down, we can't forget about Tiny. People close to her say she's been playing peacemaker, trying to keep both sides from going too far. She reportedly understands King's need for independence and doesn't want him feeling suffocated. At the same time, she sees where T.I. is coming from as a parent who's scared and protective. But here's the kicker. Tiny was allegedly the one who first caught King packing his bags and planning to sneak out to be with his boyfriend. That moment, which we talked about in a previous story, might be exactly why T.I. has turned up the heat. In his eyes, if King already tried to escape once, what's stopping him from trying again? That paranoia has apparently led to T.I. hovering more than ever. And Tiny? She's reportedly exhausted, trying to keep the peace in a household that feels like it's constantly on the edge of another explosion. Now let's talk about King himself. Allegedly, he's furious. For someone as outspoken as King, having your father shadow your every move feels less like protection and more like punishment. Sources claim he's been arguing nonstop with T.I., telling him to back off and let him live his life. Some say he's even threatened to cut ties if his parents don't give him the freedom he craves. And here's where it gets even more emotional. King reportedly told friends that this isn't just about a relationship. It's about being respected as his own man. To him, the surveillance proves his parents don't see him as capable of making his own choices. And instead of pulling him closer, it's pushing him further away. Of course, once whispers of this surveillance hit the blogs, fans had a lot to say. Some are defending T.I., saying that as a father, he has every right to keep a close eye on his teenage son, especially when that son is known for reckless behavior. They argue that King needs guidance and that T.I. is just doing what any concerned parent would do. But others aren't buying it. They see this as controlling, invasive, and even harmful. One Twitter user wrote, "T.I. trying to control King is just going to backfire. You can't force a grown child to live the way you want. He's gonna rebel harder." Another added, "This ain't parenting. This is surveillance." There's a difference. And of course, the messy side of the internet is living for the drama. Memes are already circulating of T.I. sneaking behind King at the mall, or fans joking that T.I. probably has a GPS tracker hidden in King's backpack. The question now isn't just whether King will go through with it, it's whether the Harris family can survive the fallout. Will Tiny manage to keep the peace and hold the family together? Will T.I. soften up and support his son's choices, or will this create a rift that plays out in front of the world? And most importantly, will King listen to reason, or will he follow his heart no matter the cost? One thing's for sure, this story is far from over. More whispers, more receipts, maybe even more drama are bound to surface in the days ahead. So buckle up, because the tea is still piping hot, and the next chapter of this saga could change everything we thought we knew about the Harris family. What do y'all think? Is King just being young and reckless, or is this really a sign that he's determined to live his truth no matter what? Do you think Tiny and T.I. are handling this the right way, or are they pushing him further away? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I need to know what side you're on. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because trust me, when the next round of this drama drops, you're gonna want front row seats.